so I want to tell you about this story about U.S. Customs and Border Patrol officials taking your data from your cell phone and your mobile phone when you travel. But first, I want to ask you, kind of show of hands, do you think that if you are stopped by, we're going to call them CBP? It's not an easy initialism to say, but I'm going to try it just so I don't have to say this every time. Do you think that if you are stopped by border agents, that you have to unlock your phone? Or do you think that you don't?
Like, are you...
So let me just give you an easy way to put your opinion in the chat. Yes, you have to unlock it, or no, you don't. Just ring in on what you think the law is.
No, you don't have to unlock it.
Who said yes?
David did.
I did.
Okay. I'm going to tell you, but I just want to I want you to know your rights. And I think most people might not know, so they would just do it, right? Or with fear of missing their flight or not being granted entry into the United States. So, okay. Well, the story is that U.S. Customs and Border Patrol officials have been casually taking data from mobile phones as travelers pass through border checkpoints for years, and they admitted as such. Recent reports say that they have added data from as many as 10,000 devices per year, and that they use that data to run facial recognition searches on millions of Americans' driver's license photos. They also tap private databases of people's financial and utility records to learn where they live. They also took location data from license plate reader databases, and that also can be used to track where people drive.
So these are Americans, because at first I was saying, oh, these are people crossing the border, they're here temporarily. No, these are Americans.
Right. So what they do is they take your phone, they ask you to open it, they plug it in and take some data off of it, and that gets uploaded. And Homeland Security then now uses, because your phone can recognize your face in many instances, so can your iPad, right? And so they can take the facial recognition information and sort of cross-search it with driver's license. They can keep things that are on your phone. They can take location data, right? Have you been mapping to and from your house? They know where you live. They can take all types of stuff. And it becomes searchable for employees of the Department of Homeland Security. Now, how do we know this?
I don't know if...
So go ahead.
So I don't know if you're gonna get to this. So if you are, like, just let
That's
me
okay.
know. But the thing is, what people don't understand. Yes, you're a U.S. citizen. Once they take you in, like at the border, they put you in a room. You don't have access to a phone call to your lawyer. So you can't call a lawyer and be like, "Hey, come get me out of this." You basically sit in there until you comply. Some people have been held for like 16 plus hours because they don't want to comply, but there's no way out of it. You can't. It's not like you got arrested by the police, where you get to talk to a lawyer. You don't get that here.
Yes. CBP agents are not required to have a warrant to take your phones, at least. And I suppose I didn't know what you had just said, but it makes sense that they also don't have to have probable cause for holding you as well.
So they can just hold you forever in these spaces.
Now,
basically,
Congress had been asking CBP. That's not rolling off the tongue. I can't say that nicely.
It's easier to say
border agents.
It's just easier to say customs. What was it? Customs.
No,
border.
it's not.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection.
Okay.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection.
So Congress has been asking them about this, and they received a briefing over the summer. That's why Oregon Senator Ron Wyden released information about this briefing last week. He said this. He said that he recently learned that when thousands of Americans' phones are searched at the border every year, their contents are downloaded into a central database where information is held for 15 years and can be accessed by thousands of Department of Homeland Security employees. He wrote a letter to CBP Commissioner Chris Magnus. He said, worse, these devices are searched without warrants, and travelers are often not informed of their rights before their phones are searched because, like we said, they are not required to have a warrant to take cell phones, computers, and iPads. They are the only law enforcement agency that doesn't need to show probable cause when searching through someone's private property.
Joe in our chat said, or Joss in our chat says, since 9/11. Has this been since 9/11? They're given this power, this authority to do this?
That's questionable because, let's go to what Senator Wyden says. He says that they pressure travelers to unlock their devices without being notified of their rights, and that he wants that to end too. He says, can we put up this next screen, number 2? He says, while strong passwords and paraphrases provide a digital self-defense tool against warrantless government surveillance, CBP asserts that Americans are required to cooperate with border search of their devices and that they can pursue available legal remedies against travelers' refuse. But the statute that they use to give themselves this right, which enables them to issue fines, dates back to 1986, which is obviously before 9/11, but it's also before the ubiquity of cell phones and encryption technology. He says, moreover, CBP appears to recognize the limits of its authority to force cooperation and seems to be relying on vague language to obtain compliance from travelers who may not fully understand their rights. He says you are supposed to receive a tear sheet. So if you are stopped at the border, you're supposed to get a sheet that informs you of your rights, but Congress found that they are not required to distribute the tear sheet before the search, so they could just pressure you into unlocking your device and then give you the sheet later. It was like, you didn't really have to do that, but here's the sheet, right?
So here's something you could do. If you want, back up your iPhone to the cloud before you go across the border, wipe it, and then go across the border with an empty phone. Then when you get back across, download that update or the backup from iCloud.
You could do that. That's a lot of work.
You could do that. However,
It is,
if they pull your phone, they could also then pull that iCloud backup that's on the phone, right? Because it's there.
Well, no, they couldn't, because the phone, it wouldn't be on it, because you're completely wiping it to a factory reset. You're factory resetting the phone. Then when you get back across, you set it up as a device, and then you pull that backup back in.
I want to know, I've never had this happen. We've crossed the border a lot. I've never had like a Customs and Border Protection agent like ask for our phone. And
You better knock on wood.
At Customs, like, you know?
Yes.
I've never had that happen. And I don't know. I've never seen it happen either. Have you ever seen it happen? Has anyone in the chat ever seen this happen?
Well, I travel
Yeah, I've
with
only
children,
heard of it happen, but I've never seen
and so all I care about is that they, don't
And
get stuck in something.
what are they saying is the reason? Like, I would be shocked if someone's like, "Can I have your phone?" I'd be like, "What, sir?"
Well,
No,
I mean,
you can't have
apparently
my
this
phone."
is happening more than you think. 10,000 phones a year, right? Or laptops. They also, but if you're going to wipe your phone, you have to also wipe your iPad or your laptop or whatever else you're traveling with.
Do you happen to know, like, if it's 10,000 phones a year, how many travelers are actually going through? So, like, what's the percentage?
So they actually didn't say. They don't say how many people they've done it to or how big their database is or when it started. So Senator Wyden has said, okay, I'll give you until the end of October to tell me this. Again, this piece about it being cross-referenced by the Department of Homeland Security is also concerning, right? They say they hold this data for up to 15 years, but do you think that anyone in the government is purging data from 2007 as we speak? No, they're going to keep it, right?
Yeah.
They are not going to keep this.
Diesel Baby just gave us a super chat. Says, yes, I have traveled with someone who got their phone seized and they cloned info in it. When re-entering the United States, they were an EU citizen, and Diesel Baby was a United States citizen. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Someone said
I
you
was
cl-
just reading
Yeah, go ahead.
today that a guy had crossed over the border. He's a U.S. citizen, and when the agent asked him what his business was, he said, "I live here." And the agent took offense to how he said that. So then they put him in the back room, seized his phone, cloned the data, just because he felt like the guy was giving him
Because he got
attitude.
snippy. Huh.
Yep.
Interesting.
Unbelievable, like these guys. And then, like, we just want to keep expanding the size of government, keep expanding it, keep doing it.
Yeah. So now Wyden, the senator from Oregon, says that last year he introduced a bill called Protecting Data at the Border Act. He says it's bipartisan. It would require agents then to have a search warrant before taking this treasure trove of data from travelers, and also prohibit them from delaying or denying entry into the U.S. if someone refuses to unlock your phone. So it does seem like they are threatening you with fines. They actually say they have not enforced any fines, probably because their success rate is pretty high. When they say unlock your phone, people just do it. I would, I wouldn't want to cross anybody, and I don't have any naked pictures on my phone. So
speak for yourself. Right. They're all on my phone. No, I'm just kidding.
Say that.
I don't know what I would do in that situation. I really feel I'd be like, sorry, you're not getting access to my personal data, because the phone today is not just like take a picture and send emails. It is everything is on this device now.
Right.
Your Dropbox, all of your financial documents, your health records, everything. Where you live, where you've been. Google tracks everything, so it knows your GPS data. It knows the coordinates of where you were. It knows everything.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, just imagine if you just happen to drive by a place that is on some watch list and you have zero idea, but all of a sudden you've been there. Or let's say you went to Russia for some reason, for no reason whatsoever, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, this person is a person of interest. So now you're on some list because you just happen to travel unknowingly to a place that is on some list. Or cross somebody's path.
Right. And someone was saying, if you go to Israel or whatever, like, there you're going to go, like, come across borders, they're going to look at it. They're going to be very stringent about it. And it's like you're giving up these freedoms.
So it would seem if this happens to you, you should ask for your tear sheet, say, oh, you're supposed to show me my rights. I would like to see that first. It seems like you can refuse to unlock the phone. And again, they use vague language to tell you that, well, we can do these things to you, right? I'm not telling you to be snappish or, resist or anything like that, but you are supposed to receive something that tells you your rights, so you don't have to just be like, oh, okay, my password's 1 2 3 4 5. Here you go, right?
And by the way, we're led to believe that these Customs and Border Protection people, like they're trustworthy with our information. They all have access. It's in a database somewhere. Like that, we saw with the IRS targeting conservative groups. We've seen countless times, time and time again, government officials using people's personal and private data. So, are you kidding me? And maybe like someone in the chat said, what if you came across the border, you were wearing like a MAGA hat or something like that? Right. Going after political opponents.
Or, you make a good point about the IRS. Like, what if you have some Venmo transactions that you haven't reported, right? Like, oh, here we go. Like, this is...
We got you. We don't even need to bring our IRS agents in there.
I wonder about European citizens, because, like, you know how Europe is about protecting citizens' data.
Yeah.
I mean, like, are there legal ramifications of seizing the phone of a European citizen and downloading that data without their actual consent? I mean, I wonder how that gets into like international like treaties,
GDPR stuff. Yeah, like if you sign into a European website, it's like letting you know, like, do you consent to give your data over? Like they won't even let you in Europe take pictures in schools, like like posting any pictures of children online or anything like that. Like they're very sensitive to like personal data.
Yeah, you can't get on a class list. For, like a fellow parents, unless you opt in. Everything is by default opt out.
Yeah.
So that, they're really strict with data.